Hot summer nights, can't breathe in again. Young core on the rise, yeah, the window kicking in. New faces in the club, out same hunger, same grind. Every pitch, every swing, yeah, they locked in time. From the bullpen to the bats, it's a problem this year. Whole league looking up like, yo, they really here. The crowd start rumbling, feel it in your chest. This ain't hype, nah, this is real success. Every episode fire, every take cuts deep. If you talk ghost baseball, this the place to be. Big Town Sports, hey! On the stadium lights, crab cakes, hot takes, all summer nights. Big Town Sports, hey! When the city roars, best up and coming Orioles podcast, what you waiting for? From first pitch to the last out, we don't miss a beat. Breaking down the roster, yeah, we living in the tweet. Front office cooking, team built to last. This ain't just potential, nah, this team's built fast. October in the distance, you can feel that pull. Every night at the yard, got the place packed full. If you bleed orange and black, yeah, you already know. Big Town Sports, don't let the whole world know. Remember.
Oh, I forgot. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a little squirt around here. So we were supposed to be interviewing Andy tonight. Obviously, Chris Bassitt literally just signed with the Orioles, so I'm kind of pivoting here so Andy can kind of cover that, right, his articles or whatnot, and then we'll bring him in when he is ready. But hey, everybody's been asking for an arm. I know Chris Bassitt may not move the needle for most, but you're looking at a guy who, one, eats a lot of innings. Yes, he is older. Eats a lot of innings. He gives you quality innings. He gets guys out, gets quality guys out, and it's not a Jeff Possum tweet, so it is real. There was a fake tweet going around from Jeff Possum from DHS Sports or something like that we signed Gallon, but $18.5 million for 1 year of Chris Bassitt. And listen, I'm going to be on the fly here. I was not prepared for this whatsoever. Andy and I we're supposed to go live at 8:30, and 8:29 he said Bassitt got to run. So on the fly here, I'm going to be looking some stuff up. I'm going to be chatting about it, and then when Andy's ready, we're going to bring him in. But from what I've looked at so far, Chris Bassitt last year had 16 games versus teams over 500, 89 and 2/3 innings, had a 3.61 ERA with just 36 earned and 12 home runs and 83 strikeouts to just 20 walks. I think that's absolutely fantastic. You're looking at a sub-1 whip right there against teams over 500. Again, I mean, this is just what you get out of Chris Bassitt's career. He's just like that steady Eddie, So let's look at what he's done against teams that have made the playoffs just last year. 11 starts, a little bit more back down to earth, 4.18 ERA in 60 innings here, gave up 60 hits, 28 earned, 19 walks. So basically everybody he played over 500, he walked to 57 Ks. Now, 4-4, I mean, look, I think that's all very respectable from Bassitt here. So if we kind of look at what he has done, we'll just say since 2023 against some of these same things here. So since 2023 against playoff teams, got a 4.55 ERA in 205 innings. He's got 37 starts since 2023, 195 Ks. Pretty decent. Not great, but decent. The Orioles currently have some guys that are better than that, but we're looking at a guy who's just going to eat innings and just be a depth guy at this point. Who gets kicked out of the rotation? I really don't know, to be completely honest with you. Maybe, I mean, look, you already had 5 capable arms, maybe 6 if you wanted to count Tyler Wells, and now you're adding a 7th. So who gets bumped to the bullpen? I'm not 1,000% sure. But you're going to see a lot of these guys start all season anyway, or all spring training anyway. Dean, Zach, Tyler Wells, because, and I had this conversation with somebody earlier, it's easier to ramp somebody up as a starter and move them to the bullpen than it is to get them ready in the bullpen and then try to ramp back up as a starter if there's an injury. So you'll see these guys kind of ramp up as a starter. Don't read too much into it. It's just kind of how they have to do things. But let's see. Against teams over 500 since 2023, he's made 54 starts with a 3.88 ERA, 308 innings pitched, 296 Ks to just 104 walks, which is pretty respectable here. So again, Bassitt has had a solid career. I mean, most of that solid career has come, from Toronto, where people started to kind of learn his name there. Since 2022, I mean, so he started with the Mets here, 181 innings, 2023, 200 innings. 2024, 171 innings. 2025, 170. He is 36, but he's still chewing those innings up. I mean, for the greater part of his career, he primarily came out of the bullpen in Oakland. When he kind of bounced around a little bit, but it wasn't until 2019 when he had 144 innings where he finally got a shot, and then obviously 2020 happened, and then he went over to New York. So let's kind of look at some of the splits. We'll just check at 2025 first. I'm going to see what he does against the AL East here. I always like looking at that. Let's see, Baltimore, Boston, New York, Tampa, and we'll just put Toronto on there for the hell of it. So last year he had a 5.52 ERA against the East in 12 games. Obviously not great. He had a 4.78 slugging against him. 58.2 innings, had a 3.02 average at a 1.64 whip. So he kind of got hit around a little bit, obviously. The FIP was only down to a 4.60, but the XFIP was a 3.96. So, that in itself, but let's look back at, we'll say since 2023, what has he done against the AL East while he's been in Toronto? He's had a very nice career in Toronto. So he's had 172 innings since 2023 against the East with a 4.18 ERA and a 4.28 FIP with a 3.91 XFIP. So that all pretty much seems on par with what he's done in his career. Between home and away splits, so at home against the East, he's got a 2.58. So I guess he just doesn't like pitching in these bandboxes. So in away games, since 2023, in away games in the East, he's got a 6.27 ERA with a 5.49 FIP and a 4.56 XFIP. Listen, these stadiums in the East they're not easy to pitch in. But either way, again, there's not too much that you can really read into it. He's an older guy. He's a veteran. He's been around the block for a while. He knows how to get outs. He knows how to get deep into games. And speaking of that, I want to see what he has done. How many games that he's gone 6 or more? Because this is something that this team really needs. So let's see. Innings pitched. Let's do 6. Let's see how many games he's done. Find players of the most combined seasons. Let's see if that works. So he's had 50 games that he's gone 6 or more innings since 2023. I would say that's fairly solid, right? I mean, you're looking at that's 3 years worth. So you're looking at just under, what do we say here? What's the closest we can say that? What's 50 divided by 3? 16. So 16 starts a season. He's going 6 or more. I think that's pretty solid, in my opinion. I wonder how many he's gone 7. 7 would be fun. Most players. Because this is something that's going to help our bullpen. 17 games in 3 years. I think that's respectable. I mean, you're looking at just under, what is that? 6 games a year, just under 6 games. Let's say 5.5 games a year. He's going 7 innings. I mean, that's what we got out of Trevor Rogers and Dean Kramer last year. I don't think you can really complain about that whatsoever. But, like I said, it's a guy that is definitely going to help. I want to know what his just straight up home and away stuff is. So the away since 2023, he had a 4.54. That's not too bad. 4.59 FIP. Just a 1.45 whip kind of scares me just a little bit. We'll see there. So what I like about him, the hard hit rate, obviously since 2023 is fairly low. I mean, sitting at 27%. Teams like to pull the ball against him a little bit. But what I like the most, I mean, he's kind of, it looks like his splits are pretty decent. He's 41% fly ball rate, or ground ball rate, I'm sorry. So he keeps the ball on the ground primarily, which in Camden Yards and obviously these other ballparks in the East, that's a big deal. Fly ball rate is still 37%, but the line drive rate's only 21%. So those numbers are pretty decent. I just question what they're going to do. Are they going to package someone else with Kobe Mayo, say a Dean Kramer who has control to kind of acquire something else? I don't really know. I think Mike's kind of proved that he just does whatever, and it's all under the radar and nobody knows. So, but again, when Andy is available, we're going to come in, we're going to talk about this Jackson Holliday stuff. This was just literally great timing for us to go live with, but I just don't have a whole lot of information on Bassitt. I haven't looked up too much against him. But I mean, from what you see him, and obviously playing against him, we know what he brings to the table. This also brings their, everybody can stop complaining that they are spending less than last year, which kind of always made me laugh. Like, yeah, we had opening day at like 163 or something. We finished around like 189. Yeah, we had to pay $17 million for guys to just finish this, just to have guys on the roster last year, just to finish the season. We had 63 guys we used last year. We had to pay an extra $17 million for that. That's incredible. League minimum $780,000. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, they haven't matched what they spent last year." Well, I hope to God we don't have to pay an extra $17 million this year just to finish a roster out and finish the season. But it's I mean, look, Gallen, like I said, Gallen's not moving the needle whatsoever. But he's just a steady Eddie. He's a guy who can come in, he can get you lots of innings. Hell, he might even be a bullpen arm. We don't know. I don't think you're giving a guy $18 million to be a bullpen arm, so it's probably stupid for me to say, to be honest with you. But I mean, when you think about Eflin, like I don't think Eflin's going to move to the bullpen because maybe they didn't give him the greatest deal in the world, but maybe. We'll see. Wells definitely. I think Wells really. I think his whole game, he would be probably a pretty decent starter. A lot of people are pretty quick to forget about what he did in 2023, where he would I think he was like the leader in the ERA and WHIP for like through the first half. Wells was dominant, and then he got tired and he had to go to the pitching lab. He came back out of the bullpen. He finished with a pretty respectable season, but it wasn't what it was in the first half. But he got hurt. I just think that with Wells being as big as he is and then not having to kind of hold it back a little bit and be able to throw my hits 97, 98, I think that plays better for our bullpen, especially having Bassitt. Now you don't really have to push some of these guys, but Bassitt's fine. I think he's fine. Look, they did what they said they were going to do. They were going to bring in a free agent arm. I tried to tell some of you guys yesterday that Mike has to say certain things, that he can't just say, like, I don't like my pitching staff, but I am going to be looking. It's pretty much what he reiterated today to the local media, that they were going to stay relevant, kind of looking for some free agents and whatnot and see where things happen. But, I mean, for the most part, you can't complain too much about Bassitt, other than hopefully he just doesn't blow up. I mean, he had a respectable 2025. It wasn't the greatest. Obviously, it wasn't as good as some of his previous years, but he still had a 3.96, the 4.0 or 4.01 FIP and a 3.84 xFIP, which is good to see. Obviously, the K rates are down. The K per 9 is 8.8 last year, 22% K rate, which is fine. The 1.33 WHIP, you would like to probably get that down just a little bit, especially in the East. But, the thing is you don't really have to rely on him to do a whole lot. If he's your 5, I think you're in a great spot for him to be your 5. I mean, for a couple of years there, he was Toronto's 2 or 3. So he has obviously the experience doing that, but you don't really need to rely on him to go and grab the ball in high pressure situations. He's a good arm to get it done. What happens with Dean, I don't know. I really don't know. I like Dean. I think Dean as a number 5 is potentially probably the best 5 in baseball outside of whatever the Dodgers throw out there. But that's me. I don't know. Do you go with a 6-man early and kind of put your strain on your bullpen? The reason why I say you might be able to get away with it, because you may have how many freaking starters that are going to be in your bullpen? I mean, between Tyler Wells, potentially Cade Povich, maybe Eflin. You don't know. There's some guys that I'd like to get upgraded in the bullpen still. I'm appreciative of what Rico Garcia did last year, but I would love to upgrade. Dietrich N, same thing, would love to upgrade. Kagan Aiken would love to upgrade. If they're here, I'm going to root for them, whatever, doesn't matter to me. But I don't know. I don't think Dean goes anywhere. I'm trying to read some of you guys' comments here real quick. I don't have a 1,000% timeline on when Andy will get in. So maybe I'll just kind of read through some of these comments, and then when he's ready to roll, we'll just kind of start that stream portion back over. We signed Bassitt 1 year, 18.5. Hell of a timing there. Right there. Perfect timing. Yep. Good timing. Who's this Holliday dude? Andy just said, can he be on for 10 minutes? Yeah, we can knock it out. So Andy's going to hop in. We're going to ask him just a couple questions, kind of hear what he has to say. He's boots on the ground in Sarasota. So basically kind of just want to pick his brain on some things. And then we'll kind of go from there. We'll go back to answering some comments and stuff after that. So if I say goodbye to Andy, just kind of hang around. I'm going to stick back and kind of, talk with some of you guys. So let's see. Restoring says it's a lot of money for him. I don't disagree. At this point, you may have had to outbid Atlanta or somebody like that who has lost another starter for a little while. Is it a lot of money? Yeah, but I don't think it matters. But here comes Andy, and we're going to add him in as guest one, and we'll kind of get this started here. Andy, thanks for joining with us. I was kind of just chatting with everybody. Everybody's pretty excited for the most part. What are your quick thoughts on Chris Bassitt?
Well, I think it's a bit of a safety net for this rotation. You think of him as an innings eater since, I think, 2021, 150 innings or more. You have to like that. What he did last year for Toronto, 170 innings or thereabout with a 3.96 ERA, returns, into the postseason and pitches lights out, from the bullpen. So that is a sort of valuable piece for a rotation. He's not the top of rotation guy that I think many fans hoped for, and which Mike Elias really said was the goal. He early in the offseason said that's what they were looking for. Chris Bassitt's not that. However, does he make this team better right now than this team was an hour ago? Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes starting rotation better and the bullpen better, in my opinion, because you get to slide some guys around. I know you're quick on time here. We appreciate the time you are giving us. Give me a quick rundown of what you heard today between Westberg and Holliday.
Yeah, so Jackson, it's funny. It's not an injury that actually happened. So this is his right hand. It's about here is the bone. It's not an injury that happened because he was hit by a pitch or anything like that. It's a swinging injury. There you go. You got it right there. It's a swinging injury that happens, with that bone. They will literally remove the bone, surgery tomorrow, to allow for a little faster healing process. The interesting thing generally is that the strength and power takes a little longer to come back.
Yeah.
So while he might be ready to go, healthy, what have you, his power number probably won't be where it was last year. His 17 home runs, which was a little surprising, I think, for that power number from him. But he should be ready, a few weeks after opening day. In reality, what that might look like it's hard to know. Maybe he's ready, but not necessarily fully 100% yet, and they put him back in there. That's kind of difficult to tell at this exact moment. But this is end of the day. This is not the most serious injury that could have happened. He'll miss, maybe a month of the season, but that's not the worst outcome. For Jordan Westberg, it is a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, it was an oblique soreness or a tweak. I don't know if the direct term was strain, whatever phrase you want to use on what is going on with his oblique. It is an oblique injury. Mm-hmm. What we know about that is that he has turned the corner. We saw him running today on the field. I don't believe he's swinging or anything yet. That tends to be pretty late in the process of an oblique injury. These are tricky. Obliques are tough. They can flare up a lot. They might not heal in an orthodox manner. So really, it's it's one of those things you want to take slowly. So he's Probably going to miss the beginning of Grapefruit League action. Not the end of the world. Of course, a slower ramp up period could add, could make it a slower start to the season. All of that trickles down into, we'll see when he's actually on the field, because obliques, are famously difficult to predict.
Yeah, and the Orioles like to take it slow for everybody who's hurt. So I bet he misses the first week of the season just to be safe, get him his at bat. So a lot of chatter around the polar bear and how he immediately came right in and was, got right there at PFPs into pitching, and he was just kind of interacting with everybody. Did he immediately come in and just look like a leader today?
Absolutely. I was talking to Tyler Wells, and one of the things, he said, and in fact, I'll pull up the quote and read it just because it was an interesting quote. He said that, quote from Tyler Wells, Pete Alonso has said it many times, there is, in a sense, a new Oriole way, and a lot of that is looking into the future and being very aware of what we're capable of and really homing in on that. I think that's the direction we want to go. And what stood out to me about that, beyond the banter, beyond, him jawing with pitchers and giving grief to his fellow batters, that's all great. But having a guy that can leave a message like that, that's so quick to the top of Tyler Wells' head, about what Pete Alonso wants this clubhouse to act like and what he wants it to look like. That's all a very positive thing, and I think he does look like a leader. I mean, he's been here for, I think he arrived last week, so he's been here for like a week, and most of the guys arrived early, but today was technically the first pitchers and catchers workout, and here most of the team, if not all, I think there's two guys that haven't necessarily reported yet, but most of the team is here. Pete Alonso stood out immediately, and that could go a long way. I mean, we're looking at a clubhouse that I think really needed a veteran leader last year, and here they are. They might have it in Pete Alonso.
Good. And it's funny that you said veteran leader last year. Give me your thoughts on Tyler O'Neill and what kind of impact he could have this year.
Yeah, he is the wild card to end all wild cards, I think, this season, because last year, I mean, it's hard to be a leader. He played, 57 games? And I apologize for my Wi-Fi, by the way. Hopefully you can hear me. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, sweet. 57 games. I mean, it's hard to be a leader and a presence in the clubhouse. What he came in today and owned it, just as he's owned it the entire time, was recognizing that, he did not perform anywhere near the level he expects of himself, the team expects of him. And he, we'll see how it looks like. I truly believe, like, if he's healthy for a good stretch, he can click and really go on a tear. We've seen it before. It's hard to know exactly how that looks like, going forward, if he can stay healthy. Maybe playing for Canada and the WBC is going to help him get game ready immediately. The flip side is you worry about injuries. That's always going to be, a part of the Tyler O'Neill story. At the same time, it would be, again, such a wild card if this guy could piece together, even if he's available for 120 games, and has a decent amount of power potential in those 120 games. That just lengthens his lineup and gives another option. Again, especially he really struggled against left-handers last year, which is what he was brought in kind of to hit against, a large part. We'll see if he can improve in that territory. Pete Alonso, Taylor Ward, you have a bunch of lefties that you should choose from, or righties, excuse me, that can, mash against lefties. That might not be as big of an issue for this lineup going forward as it has been in years past. So we'll see what he looks like. It's always going to be, the question is if he can stay healthy. He said all the right things today. He said many of the right things previously in his career, and we'll see how that develops.
Let me know a little bit about what you saw out of Trey Gibson and Luis De Leon. Like, did they look like they belonged?
I'll be honest, I didn't see them today.
Okay.
There's a lot of indoor work going on. If guys are not on, there's scheduling per day, as you know. If they're on a different rotation, it was Kramer and Baz throwing the live bullpen sessions today, with some other guys in there. So hopefully we start seeing them in bullpen sessions soon. They probably were in the weight room. I did see them, walking around the facility, but not with a baseball in hand, which is the question. I will just generally speaking, I do think both of them could be factors at some point in 2026, especially Trey Gibson if he starts in AAA and settles down. He was phenomenal in AA. Was hit around a little bit in AAA. That's not unusual with a jump in level. If he can find his form, I think he'll be kind of a mid-season, late-season call-up kind of guy.
Do you think they keep Gibson more in the starting rotation? And then, like, because I feel like Luis De Leon, his quickest track is to replace that lefty specialist to get his feet wet in the big leagues. You know, with his velocity, I think he could probably fit in there pretty well.
Yeah, I think the biggest question around this team is still who's going to get lefties out in the bullpen. You know, this lefty, you know, the lefty group right now, off the top of my head, is Aiken, Wolfram, Cade Povich, I guess you could include in there. And am I missing one?
Ends.
Thank
Dietrich
you.
Ends.
Yes, Dietrich Ends, who was fantastic last year. Sorry, Dietrich. That is a fine core, but they'd still, I still wouldn't say no to an external, you know, lefty addition. Yeah. So that's definitely an area. Maybe they feel like trade deadline, that could be an area to go to. If Luis is blowing through the minors, maybe you don't even need to use stockpile of prospects at the trade deadline. You can call up Luis. A lot of different ways. Heck, I mean, Trey Gibson in the bullpen is possible too. I know Tyler Wells, you know, it's always the big question: starter or reliever. Today, Mike Elias said he's kind of building up as a starter. It's just, you know, it's easier to plan that way and then switch to being a reliever compared to the other way around. So it's prudent to do it that way. You'd expect that with Bassitt coming in, again, the deal is pending physical, but assuming that is all clean, you imagine with Bassitt coming in, there's going to be some drop off from the rotation into the bullpen mix. Wells might be in there. He could be fantastic late inning guy. We know what his stuff looks like when he's healthy. It'll be interesting to see what this rotation kind of molds into. Of course, you know, as we know, injuries are a name of the game, you know, in starting pitching. So I'd be shocked if every single pitcher was completely healthy, you know, through the entire season. There will be mixing and matching.
So I know you were quick, you know, needed quick 10 minutes. My last question is talk me through how beautiful this was and how important it is for the Orioles.
Yeah, I don't think it can be overstated. You know, this was a big facility upgrade compared to what they had, and it was a part of free agent pitches for Baltimore. It was a gorgeous facility. The big photo you have of the aviary, they're calling it, is that quad batting cage where basically they can you know, have a bunch of different hitters going all at once. They can also bring the nets up and play that as a full infield if it's raining outside, something like that. They can do some defensive work. The 8-pack of bullpen mounds being, you know, in the shade. It's open air, but in the shade. That's incredibly nice to have. All things considered, I think there's the biometric lab is you know, one of the areas too that's just to the side of the aviary. That's going to be really interesting. I mean, there's a million cameras in there that's going to be studying pitchers and hitters, and you know, they have in Bel Air, Maryland, they have a pitching lab already that has a lot of this, you know, similar stuff that they will now have at this biometrics lab in Sarasota. But that is a pitching only facility in Bel Air. So this is going to be for hitters as well. Hitters can stand in and they can study pressure plates and camera angles and slow-mo and everything like that to really, you know, figure out exactly what's the best way of, you know, maximizing their output, basically. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But this is a lot more than just for the major league players. I mean, this is where complex league guys are going to hang out. It starts young. Like the development at a young age in this kind of facility is fantastic.
Yeah. I know Donnie Ecker is probably over there salviating at this biometrics part on the hitting stuff because he's real big into that. This little pitching area, was that the old like tunnel netted area that they had for the hitting?
Which one do you
They
mean?
ripped that out.
This is
When I used to come
pretty
out of the
much.
building, it was like right to the right. I mean, we're talking
So
2010.
yes, to the right, that was the old green roof hitting.
Yeah, I used to get
That's
poured on
that's
in
not
there.
there. Yes,
Good.
that's not that's not there anymore. They
Oh,
took that out. Yeah,
good.
this replaces that. Yep.
Good. Yeah, that
Yep.
was ugly. And
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
would just get soaked in there while you're hitting. All that hurricane rain, that 1 hour that Florida has, it would just literally just come right to the side. It was horrible.
Yep.
Balls were
Yep.
soaked. All right,
Yeah,
well,
this is a little bit nicer now. So they
very
figured
good.
it out.
Very good. All right, well, I'll let you run. I know you probably got an article to write, and I
Yeah,
appreciate your
gotta hop
time.
on. Yeah. Thank you,
Definitely.
man. I'll catch you.
Definitely. I'll see you later. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, see you.
All right, so that was Andy Kostka of the Baltimore Banner. So if you guys don't know him, definitely follow his Twitter account and some of his articles and whatnot. One of the better content, or not content, but one of the better beat writers that the Orioles have. So love that he's here and gave us some time. But let's get back to some of your guys' comments here. There's a lot rolling in. I apologize. Ratner said, "What is the point of this?" Let me get to the right screen here. What is the point of this? I'm guessing you mean a Bassitt. My guess is probably just depth at this point. As you can see now that we've had some position players go down from last year and the year before, we've had pitching go down. I think at this point they're just like, you know what? Let me just get as many guys in here as I can right now. We'll figure out the rest later. You got a lot of guys with options and whatnot. Could you still trade guys that have control like Tyler Wells or Kramer? I don't know. I mean, I think anything is in the cards at this point. I was kind of skimming through here while he was talking. I do think Eflin probably makes the most sense for the bullpen right now. Either Eflin or Kramer, because they don't get paid as much. Eflin took a pretty solid deal, but also you can keep him healthier at the same time too, and he gives you pretty good stuff. So we'll see how that kind of points out. I kind of like this deal, to be honest. Bassitt's a lot better than most realize. I'd agree with that. I mean, Bassitt's fine. He's good. Again, like I said earlier, he's not a needle mover, but he's just a quality veteran arm that's been there for a while. I've seen some people saying this was kind of like Charlie Morton. Yes and no. Charlie was that veteran guy that needed to be here with some of these younger players, and I think he had a lot. I mean, guys said it numerous times last year how much he helped them in certain situations. They had high praise for him. Chris Bassitt's kind of the same guy. Yes, this is kind of like the Charlie Morton sign. Yes, this is kind of like the Kyle Gibson sign. Yes, they are older. I understand it. But the difference here is now Charlie Morton doesn't have to be your 2 or 3. I mean, Chris Bassitt doesn't have to be your 2 or 3 or your ace in 2023 like Gibson was. He kind of can just be a guy. So that's the big kicker here. Does it make a ton of sense in hindsight? No, maybe not. But it also does at the same time. So it's just one of those things. I think it's just depth, and it just helps the team all around in some shape or form. Somebody's going to get hurt at some point, and now you have somebody available. Where before, now instead of having Brandon Young, you have Chris Bassitt. I kind of take that trade-off, in my opinion. You love how Bassitt was so effective out of the pen last year. So let's look at that and see what he's done as a reliever in his career. So it looks like he only came out of 1 game last year. Now, this is just regular season. I didn't see what he did in the postseason. But he just faced batters 1 time in the regular season, and that's just kind of all he's done. Now, let's go back to, I don't even know, 2014. He's been around for a while, so I'll go back for a while and see what he's done his entire career. So 14 total games out of the bullpen in his career through 3 teams. He's got a 2.51 ERA, 143 average against him. Now, this is a long time ago. He was a lot younger, so take that with a grain of salt here. But a 27.5% K rate in his career. So he grew up as a bullpen arm, like we were talking about before he went to the Mets. So Mets like taking literally anybody in the bullpen and making them a starter. Seemed to work in Bassitt's case. But let's see. I'm guessing this is what we were talking about earlier. You take those numbers every day. Yeah, I agree. Murray said, we needed the depth. I agree. Had a 2.06 ERA against the Yankees in her career. You take that all day long. You take guys that can get guys that are on good teams, and you find a way to get them out. So you take that all day long in Baltimore because we struggle to get the Yankees out a pretty good amount. Charm City said, did I read that right? $18.5 million for 1 year of Bassitt. Yep. The Athletic had him as the 26th best free agent ahead of Ryan O'Hearn, Trevor Mailey, Luis Arraez, Zach Littell, Devin Williams, Ryan Helsley, Justin Verlander, Nick Martinez. That's fairly impressive, I would say. I'm a big Zach Littell fan. I would have loved Zach Littell if either one of these two guys, either Littell or Bassitt, I was fine with. I will say, and I know a lot of people really wanted Zach Gallen. The last that I did hear about Zach Gallen is he was stuck at $30 to $35 million a year and he wasn't coming down, which I thought was a little I'm not sure the Orioles really wanted to lock somebody in like that long term, where he's still fairly young. He wants a longer term deal, if not a lot of money. Do they want to kind of hang up with that, knowing what they have, like we just talked about with Andy, Luis de Leon, you got Trey Gibson, you got Levi Wells, who's also probably going to potentially help this year. You've got, Patrick Riley's coming back this year. What could he do to be ready for next year? You've got Blake Money, who's eventually going to be back. You've got next year's free agent class that's extremely good. Did you want to lock up a guy like Zach Gallen? I don't know. I can't make that call for the Orioles, but we'll see. We'll see how it all figures that itself out. Anything that keeps Mari's son out of the rotation. You guys are bad. You're bad. The Orioles made a signing right when you recorded for once. I know. No, I will say last year, I was live with some friends and we signed Gary Sanchez and I lost my ever-loving mind. I wish I could find that clip. I was not a happy camper about that signing, but I was live, and that would have been good for America's Funniest Home Videos because I was not happy. Wells definitely going to the bullpen now. I could see it for sure. I do think that Wells could potentially be a very good eighth inning guy who could spot you in the ninth inning once in a while if Helsley needs a break. I didn't really trust Kittredge in the eighth and ninth if we needed that at that point. I still honestly would like Kopech, where you would have like Kittredge in the sixth if you need it, sixth or seventh, then Wells, then Kopech, then Helsley. That's a lot of velo, and that's what I want. I want velo. I want guys that can locate this velo, that can get a lot of swing and miss. I think that's what this bullpen has been kind of missing for a long time, and it's kind of what made Rico Garcia somewhat serviceable last year, is he threw harder than basically everybody else in the bullpen once Felix went down. So they need some velo. So Kopech still should be on the radar, in my opinion. Orioles just signed Chris Bassitt. Yep. The Orioles got the ace they needed. All jokes aside, good depth. Yes, definitely good depth. I'm a fan of it. $18.5 million. Yes. Look, hey, is it a lot? Is it an overpay? Potentially. But they spent the money that was needed, and I know that it's not on the right people that some people want. Listen, they could have literally rolled with what they had. So let's not find too many things to complain about here. Is it a lot? Yes. I think we can all agree with it. Is it a needle mover? No. I think we can all agree with that too. But they did spend the money and they did bring in some depth, and they didn't roll with what they had. So I think we just need to kind of check our boxes here and just be appreciative of that, and then just hope and just cheer everybody on at that point. Because now, but my biggest question is now that you have 7 starters or whatnot, what does that do at the trade deadline? What does that do for Trey Gibson? What does that do for Luis de Leon? How are you going to attack making your team better to make that run in the postseason if you literally just don't have room? Because you're not cutting $18.5 million, even if he's. I mean, I guess maybe you are if he's struggling, but I doubt it. I don't know. To me, it seems like now there's a logjam to be able to bring in somebody really good at the deadline, but we'll see how it all plays out. I don't want to jump too far ahead. The fear with Bassitt is he Marlon Humphrey. Was last year his last good year? That's always the question. It is. With the older guys, it's always the question. Bassitt could go into the bullpen, but man, $18.5 million for a guy in the bullpen. I don't know if I don't see that. Maybe. Maybe, though. You never know. You just never know. Talking Sports says, great move. Jason says, love this move. So does that mean we're out on Gallen? I would say probably. I don't think that they want to pay Gallen's price. He owns the Yankees. Nice. It's an arm, and he eats innings. That's what we were asking for. That's what we were asking for. So let's see. Gallen wants 2 for 50, so you can see 18. So the last that I heard was he was asking for 2 for 70. A little different than 50, but yeah, 2 for 70, 35 a year was the last number that I had heard. Flexibility, I should say, yeah. Flexibility out of the bullpen and the starter is honestly what attracted me to Zach Littell. But if Bassitt could do it too, I don't care how much I paid him. And just help me get outs. Will says Bassitt is an asset. He's going to be an Orioles pitching switch army knife, start, eat innings, and would pitch out of the pen. That brings me to a good question here. Who would you trust more, Albert Suarez at, 37, or Chris Bassitt at 36? Suarez coming off a fairly significant shoulder injury. So they're both 36. I'm sorry. But again, I mean, Albert proved that he was very good in this league. Chris Bassitt has proved time and time again he's very good in this league. But now maybe you just don't have. I mean, Albert still has some options too. So again, you could stash him in Norfolk and bring it back. Let me make sure I said that right, because I don't want to say that and him not have options. Let me double check here on. He does not have options. So I guess they would potentially have to try and DFA him, but we'll see. I mean, I think those two guys are interchangeable right now at this role, so we'll see how that plays out. Let Eflin start the year in the pen unless Bassitt. That might be a really good idea too, because he is fully ready. He threw a pen already. Wasn't today, but it was yesterday. So he's full go on the mound and right on track to be ready for opening day with no setbacks, hopefully. But maybe now you don't have to rush it. Now you can put him in the bullpen and kind of let him take over that long relief role that Aiken played sometimes. And now you don't have to use some other guys. So we'll see how that works. Could Kramer get traded? I think that's also an option. He has a couple years left. His in the middle of arbitration, so he's cheap. Could you flip him with Kobe Mayo for something else? I don't know. I really don't know. We'll see. We will see. If the Orioles sign another starting pitcher, it's because Bassitt's going to be a long reliever. I just find it tough. $18.5 million to be a long reliever. I think he's going to get a shot to start. I think he's going to be your shot at number 5. Do I think they could potentially go with a 6-man rotation? It's very possible. It's very possible at this point. So we'll see. We'll see. Somebody did tell me that Albert is back with the Orioles on a minor league deal, so they don't even have. So now you don't have to worry about bringing Albert up. So that helps. Right now, Bassitt maybe could play that Swiss Army knife where he makes a couple spot starts here and there, and then you have Albert available. I think that's the perfect of both worlds for the Orioles right there. The Orioles have repeatedly said they hate the 6-man because it leaves the pen. That was more Brandon Hyde. I think with some guys, they are coming back from injury. Maybe that first month, because there was also a lot of off days that are kind of like the built-in rain days in April because it rains like crazy, where you could get away with 6 and give guys extra rest in April, maybe skip their start completely and give them 10 days rest or something, kind of build them up nice and slow this year. So, I think the Orioles have a fair amount of off days kind of built in early. Let me double check all this, where they could potentially get away with that and not have any issues with a 6-man. So you have 1 day off, 2, 3, 4. So you have 4 days off in this month. I think you could probably get away with a 6-man here. You really could. Especially because. Oh no! Wait a minute. We start in March, so you have 5. So last week of March and into April, so you have five off days, which I think is great. But you start with like Texas, Minnesota. If you can jump out to an early lead on those 2 teams, you got Pittsburgh, the White Sox. You're at home against the Giants and D-backs. That's going to be a good series there. At the Guardians would be a good series. At the Royals would be a good series. And then home against Boston and the Astros. That's going to be tough there, but I think there's room to start with a 6-man, but it's not going to kill your pen either because you have the off day. So we'll see how they start that off. That'd be pretty interesting. Richard says, I look forward to the day that most likely will not come, but when they sign starters to multi-year deals that are not going through this pitching insanity every single year. I think it's coming. We heard today that they didn't even kind of engage with Trevor Rogers just yet. My guess is Trevor's probably going to bet on himself, and the Orioles are probably going to bet on what's going on too. So they're going to say like, hey, if we offered you something right now, it'd probably be in the range of $80 million a year over 4 or 5 years. Like, we both know you're not taking that. And then that gives Rodgers a chance to go out and prove himself, bump that from 80 to 160. So the Orioles, don't have to lock themselves in 150, 160 million if he doesn't, like, what if he shits the bed? Like, completely shits the bed. They're not locked in early. If he gets hurt again, they're not locked in early. But if he has a good year, like he wants to be here, he's on the same page. He understands what they're asking of him, and he understands their thought process. Like, there's no bad blood there, right? Then you go pay the 150, 160 million that he would potentially want on the open market. So I think it's a wait and see with him. Bradish still has 2 more years arbitration, I believe. Kramer, I believe, has 2 more years. So they don't really need to throw these extensions out just yet. So we'll see. But yes, I mean, you would like to see them sign somebody to a long-term deal, but I had this conversation with somebody earlier, and they made a great point. Like, we all wanted Framber, and I get it. Guy got $38 million a year, right? Or 35 or something like that. 38. Is Framber Valdez better than Kyle Bradish when Kyle's healthy? No, he's not. I don't even think it's close. Is he better than Trevor Rogers? Last year? No. You don't know what you're getting this year, but, I mean, we'd say maybe he's on par with Trevor Rogers, but there's an argument where Trevor Rogers is better. Are you going to pay $38 million in a long-term deal to a number 3? Like, that's the big kicker. Yeah, I mean, Detroit didn't seem to care, but, I mean, they're also potentially losing their ace next year, so they have a second ace because they're not rolling with Jack Flaherty as an ace. So that it made sense for them to pay that price. Atlanta wasn't paying that price. San Francisco wasn't paying that price. The Mets weren't paying that price because I think all these teams realized that, like, hey, this guy's not going to be my ace. I'm not paying him to be an ace, but Detroit was able to. So we'll see. We will see. Everybody's overreacting to the Holliday news. Is a 4-6 week recovery. 2012 Marquez was out 5 weeks. Everybody's different. Yes, it's a 4 to 6 week thing, but you missed all of spring training. You missed all those at bats. It's going to be more to 8 to 10 weeks before he's fully ready to kind of step back on the field and be ready to go. The nice thing is that, yes, it is his lead hand, being left-handed. It's his right hand, so he can still go out and take ground balls. So he's not going to be too far behind, thankfully. If he was right-handed and that was his glove hand, like, he literally couldn't take ground balls at this point. So that'll be nice. He can get his footwork in. He's not going to be that far behind defensively. He can get all that work in. But yes, 4 to 6 weeks to be fully recovered. Full strength is around 2 to 3 months. So he's going to struggle to grip that bat for a while. And I'd be interested to see if he goes back to actually putting his whole hand over the knob of the bat, or if he kind of slides above it, which now that's going to also take some time because he's not used to that. He's going to have to wear a pad, not going to be used to that. So you're looking at 8 to 10 weeks till you see Jackson Holliday feel truly comfortable to get back in that box and be himself. And then 2 to 3 months before you see him really start to drive the ball like we know he can do, and we were hoping to see him do this year. Only 2 players signed for next year are Alonso. Now the whole roster is available. Signed, yes, but the whole roster is under arbitration, so they're technically signed as well. Arbitration is technically 1-year deals, but they're under team control. So when you look at roster websites and stuff like that, yes, you are technically correct, Mike. But they have plenty of guys under control. Hopefully Holliday focuses on hits and steals and not trying for power. 100%. And that's going to fall on the coaching staff to kind of taming those expectations too. I expect something around a lesser Dean Kramer out of Bassitt. I mean, then you're looking at like a 4.5. I don't think you're paying somebody $18.5 million to hope they get a 4.5. I think they expect him to pitch to a sub 4, 3.8. We'll see how it works out though. Now we are settling Gibson 2.0. Hopefully he's as good as Gibson's first year. That's the difference. Gibson's first year, he had to be the ace. Bradish was young. So he just gets to come in and just throw the baseball and just be a veteran. So maybe he gets even better from that. I don't know. Excuse me. Let's see. Orioles Fanky says Dean won't go anywhere. He might not. Could get traded, could not. Who knows? Numbers in Orioles Park, Camden Yards would matter the most. Let's take a look. In his career. Group by career. Since 2002. Show all. Park, Camden. In Camden Yards, he has 4 total games in his career with a 7.71 ERA. The Orioles have kind of jumped on him at home throughout the years. With a 1.76, he's walked a lot of guys. It's weird. He gives up a lot of hits. That's why. A 4.35 balls in play average and a 5.50 FIP with a 3.83 xFIP. So there's always those anomalies. But again, it's just 4 games. It's through 2 different teams. I'm not that worried about it. Bradish Moose says, great move. Not the stud we wanted, but we have starting pitching depth now. Yep, there you go. A lot going on today and tonight. Yep, that's right. I'm overall content with the offseason now. I thought the offseason kind of coming to this was already a B+, maybe an A-. I mean, this kind of cements the A. I think you could just stay with an A- at this point, or a strong B++. They had a good offseason. They missed the top of the rotation. Yes, I'm going to admit that. But overall, it was a good offseason. Bringing in a little bit more depth kind of solidifies at least a plus. If it doesn't hit an A, it's got to be a B++ in my opinion. Love your stuff. You and I agree this team's much better. Yeah, look, I talked about this before. So predicted by Fangraphs, the Orioles finished third with 88 and 74. But they also say their MLB playoff odds, they make the playoffs. 55% that they make the playoffs, just over Houston. I think this is a good team. 88, I think, is a respectable win column for this team. And that's right now. That's not bringing in Luis De Leon, Trey Gibson, maybe Aaron Estrada if somebody goes down offensively, or whoever you bring in at the trade deadline to help bolster this team, which I think is most likely probably going to be bullpen at this point. Maybe, unless they can swing Hunter Green or something like that. It's going to be a starter with control if they go that route, but Fangraphs thinks this is a playoff team, and I do as well. Raphael says, I think another starting pitcher could be added, some by trade or by reliever. Yeah, I mean, listen, if you trade Dean Kramer and Kobe Mayo and land another starter, that helps, obviously. I think a section of this fan base would be extremely happy that Dean Kramer's gone. I wouldn't be. But obviously, if he helped me land a better arm, you're not going to hear me complain. But, we'll see. You now have 6 legit guys you can go to at the deadline where you can just hope Joe Ryan comes available. What happens there, though? That's the question, is what happens? How do you make room? That's my biggest question. Andy's one of the reasons why I subscribed to the banner. Yeah, same thing. Andy's great. If you guys don't follow Andy on the banner or even on his Twitter page, Andy puts out some great content. Who cares about the money? That's why we never land a top of the rotation starting pitcher. Yep. Freddie Peralta and Tariq Screwball free agents next year. I don't think Peralta is going to be. I think Mets locked that up. Haven't played one spring training game. Westberg's already injured. I bet you he got himself hurt at that caravan or something. Playing bowling or ice hockey or air hockey or something like that. Wouldn't that be crazy? I love the Bassitt move. Sup, Bradish? Okay. Been in my TikTok streams before. If you guys are into TikTok, go follow Daily Dose of Baseball. Stop picking on Westberg. Westberg needs a new mattress guy. That's yeah. I said that earlier. It was pretty funny. Westberg was just on the Ryan Ripken show a few weeks ago. Yeah, so he actually told a friend of mine at the Caravan that he was ready to go. And this could just be precaution, right? It could just be maybe just a little sore. We don't know. I mean, obviously they didn't say he had an MRI and they found any kind of strain, which is a tear or anything like that. They just said that it was sore. So maybe he only misses 1 or 2 games or something. Like they just kind of take it easy. So who knows? I mean, he's already running today, which is great to see. I mean, that's the hardest part when your side hurts is freaking breathing. So to see him running some sprints, that's ideal. That would to me would say that he's probably on pace to start throwing within a week, to the point where he's probably going to start hitting within a week and a half or 2. So I don't think it's very long. I don't think he misses too much time. I wonder if we're going to go back and sign Urias. I don't think so. Can't stay on the field. He's had some bad luck. He's approaching Nolan Reimel territory at this point. It kind of sucks. You want to see him healthy because you know the talent's there. We don't even know when Eflin will be ready to go more than 4 innings. I'm hoping the surgery is monumental for him. Yeah, I hope it is too. I mean, like I say, he did throw a bullpen. I obviously don't know how many pitches he threw, but they had pictures of him on the mound throwing, so that's a good sign. Anything you get him, I think is pretty exciting. This is a type of Charlie Morton signing. Oh man, you never know. I mean, look, Charlie gave us some quality starts. So he sucked in the beginning. He was absolutely dog crap in the beginning, but at the end there, he was starting to become really, really good. If we can just get really, really good and skip the suck part, that'd be great. But he's our 6th man now, not our 2. Yeah, that's going to be the big kicker. General soreness is the wild card that could hit 30 home runs. It's very possible. Very possible. Jackson says, find myself being a huge Tyler O'Neill guy for whatever reason. The guy didn't shy away from understanding that he sucked last year and he wants to do better and he's a hard worker. So yeah, you tend to root for them kind of guys. Good evening, Laura. How are you? Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. And Big Town and Andy, we trust. I appreciate your support, guys. I really do. How great is it to hear this report on Pete Alonso? It's big, man. It's really big because just kind of seeing some of the videos that even the Orioles put out, the Banner put out today, like just seeing him interacting with these guys. And, you know, I don't know if you guys read some of them tweets. I think it was maybe from, I forget which part of the Banner. Somebody put it out. But he was like bantering Dean Kramer and Shane Boz today during their live sessions. Like if somebody got a hit, he would yell out like, you know, nobody plays there. Like, you know, just fun stuff like that. And we kind of didn't hear that for a couple of years now. Obviously the Cowser's always been kind of that, like that loose guy that keeps everybody rolling and whatnot. But to have a guy like Pete who's been there and played the game at the biggest stage and performed, and he gets to kind of keep things loose too. That's big. That's big. I saw something about a lefty throwing live BP today. You know anything about him? What about Keegan Gillies? When does he make his big league team? I think he's got a little bit more time in AAA. But the other guy, yeah, I did read about him. I think he had, I forget what league it was, like the Mexican League or something. I did like a 1-something ERA. Funky looking delivery as a lefty. We signed a couple of them guys last year, and I think Garcia was one of them. So, yeah, those guys do pan out. They do pan out. So we'll see what we get out of them. Do I expect to see Mayo at third early in the season? Yeah, I think so. While Westberg is on the shelf, I think they're going to give him his shot. Obviously, you want him to know as many positions as possible, which is probably why they're going to move the whole outfield thing too, because you got to make him tradable because teams really don't need first baseman. They really don't. They don't need DHs very often unless it's a guy like Passaio. But for the most part, you need to be able to kind of promote Mayo as a multi-position athlete. So they're going to have him getting some reps pretty much everywhere. There's a lot of boom or bust in the lineup. There's going to be some hot streaks, and there's going to be a lot of chilly times. They better figure out something when they're not hitting home runs. 1,000%. But that's going to be more on Dustin Lynn and Donnie Ecker to kind of figure that out. I don't think this is going to be a swing for home run only kind of offense anymore. I think they're going to get back to kind of the basics, hitting the ball the other way, driving it down the lines, running, taking the extra base. They're going to see a little bit more old school baseball. Go get Kopech for the pen. I'm all with you, brother. Facility looks beautiful. 1,000%. Joe, welcome in. Thanks for stopping in, brother. Let's go baseball season. I think Beavers is going to be a huge on-base threat, and Gunnar and Alonso and Ward are going to draw their walks. That's the biggest thing, is this team's got to get their on-base percentage going, because RBIs, they can't be there if you're not on base. So somebody's got to get on in front of you. 105 people and only 17 likes. Make sure you like and subscribe. I appreciate it. We're up to 29, so thank you for the likes there. I appreciate it. 104 still on YouTube. You guys are crushing it. I appreciate it. A lot of power threats and less hit on base over power guys. Yeah, that's the big thing there. But again, it's going to come down on coaching there. Does this basically cement Beavers as the opening day leadoff hitter? I don't know. I made a video about it. A lot of people didn't agree about it, but I think I posted it on like TikTok and Instagram. If you don't follow me on there, go ahead and follow me on there. What about Adley at leadoff? Now, I know a lot of people don't want him anywhere near a prime hitting position until he proves it, but the guy's really good at walking and taking pitches and kind of fouling balls off, and it's kind of what you want out of your leadoff. Now, yes, he is slow, but I think that's probably why he was used as a two-hitter so often early in his career, just because he does do those things really well. So we'll see. Beavers struggled pretty mightily against lefties and on breaking balls. So he also has some things to learn. Now, they moved to Jackson early last year, but not right away. So I could see them maybe starting with Gunnar or something like that. Potentially put Westberg too if he's available. I don't know. I don't think Beaver starts right away at the leadoff spot, though. Steve says the injury bug strikes again. It pretty much every offseason for every team. It just happens. This isn't the end of the stream, is it? No. Best Oreos content creator on YouTube. I can humble myself and say that. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. Stupid autocorrect. I like Oreos better. We can all say that they're the Oreos, the Baltimore Orioles. I like Oreos. Listen, when I was younger, I could eat a family size of Oreos. I'd eat the whole line once a night. I just kept buying them things and buying them. This was back when I had a good metabolism and it didn't matter. I could eat probably 2 lines of those a night and not gain a pound. But nowadays, I could probably only eat half nowadays and probably gain 4 pounds. That's what happens when you get old and have kids. Who would I move to the bullpen, Kramer or Eflin? It's a good question, man. I think you can help yourself move Eflin first to kind of not throw it all on him at once. You know what I mean? Let him kind of just take his time, work up as a starter, but still come out of the bullpen as a long man. And I think that kind of helps the team too. Be able to run a 6-man. Technically, you can run a 7-man because then you have Wells and Eflin in the bullpen. So we'll see what they go there. Didn't we want Bassitt back then? Yeah. They tried to trade for him a couple times too, I believe. Biggest thing today, starters are healthy. Last year at this point, Bradish, Rogers, Wells, Grayson, Young, and McDermott were all hurt. Very true. Very, very true. Morton signing, except for you actually get good innings. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Kramer sucks in April, but Eflin could be slow played. Hey, short hair Kramer might be something different. I mean, he cut that thing for the WBC, so maybe short hair Kramer's better. I don't know. The thing that I like is, yes, he is in the WBC. He's going to get some meaningful innings pretty early against some good lineups. Maybe he hits April kind of on the ground running. Who knows? But also to speaking that too, like WBC can offer a chance for some of these guys to get injured. So having that 6th, 7th pitcher is kind of a big deal right now. Who would I rather have, Romero or Banda? Romero, probably Romero. I think because he's been there before, he's done it longer. I think his velo is just a touch better. I don't know. Banda because he's still got a little bit more control though. It's a tough question. I'll take either one of them. Just give me either one of them. I don't like Keegan Aiken. I didn't say that. Eflin's a full go. Yep. 108 wins, says Baltimore Joe. We'll see. Bassitt knows how to get major league hitters out. That's the bottom line. I don't think anybody can argue that one. I don't think you can. All these pitchers are on 1-year deals, not counting Rogers. Yeah, most of them are on arbitration. Bassitt on a 1-year deal. Rogers on a 1-year deal, Eflin on a 1-year deal. But then you have like Wells, Bradish, Kramer. They're all in arbitration. And then you get like obviously Brandon Young and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a balanced mix, but you want ideally somebody more long term. It could be Trey Gibson at the end of this year. Who knows? He could have a Trey Yesevich year. We don't know. We don't know. Bassitt's a great signing on a 1-year deal. Better pitchers to go after next year. Yep, I agree with that. Here comes Jabo. This is such an Elias move that makes me beyond frustrated. I think at this point he checked a box. It's probably not the box, but he checked a box to get a little bit more depth, get a little bit more innings. And if somebody goes down, you have a quality arm to step in there. But you don't need him right away, which is nice. What do I think of Banda? I think Banda would fit here perfectly if they did. Has it been 7 days? Did he not get claimed? Because you haven't heard anything. He's coming up on that 7-day marker, I think. So we should hear something here shortly of who claimed him. We were promised the top of the rotation arm, ended up with Bassitt. But I mean, I did talk about it earlier, Jabo, so I'm not sure if you made it in time. But like, let's look at Framber. Was Framber better than Kyle Bradish? No. You could argue he is or is not better than Trevor Rogers. And at $38 million, is that worth a guy that maybe is not better than Trevor Rogers? He's had a better career. But going into 2026, who is better? Do you pay a guy at like that $38 million? I've said it multiple times. I'll probably say it again. They put their eggs in the Ranger Suarez basket. I really believe they thought they were getting that done. They got played. But that was the guy they wanted the whole time. And I really don't think they thought they were going to get beat out for it. And they did. I really don't think they had much interest in Framber. Not national media built it up to say, and the radio station and stuff like that. They didn't like the interviews, didn't like the communication with him. They were out pretty early. But we'll see. Big Ben says 6-man rotation likely, probably. Charlie Morton, Kyle Gibson would like a word. Hey, if they're still available, I'm sure Mike might call. Don't get mad at me. I was just kidding. I think it's got to be Coulomb. Need the lefty specialist. If you can get a lefty in the pen arm, I'm personally fully satisfied with this offseason. I think Danny would be good. I don't know if Danny would come back here. I really don't. I don't. I'd like him to. I just don't think he does. Bullpen still sucks. I think it gets better now that you have Bassitt, because now you get a quality arm that gets to go into the bullpen. So now I don't have to worry about, maybe they get rid of Grant Wolfram for Zach Eflin. I think that's an upgrade, right? I mean, yes, you lose the lefty, but you got 4 of them. Maybe you now can send Cade Povich back to AAA instead of having him in your bullpen. Maybe he can work on the bullpen down there instead of in the big leagues, because now you have Zach Eflin. Like, there's a lot of different things that makes the bullpen just a little bit better than it was yesterday. Hopefully the signing doesn't mean somebody else is injured. That's also a very valid point right there. And it's kind of my thought as well. Good thing they got Bassitt, especially dealing with Cade. I still think Cade is going to be okay. I'm not saying he's going to be good. I think Cade Povich is going to be okay. Eerie similar to Brian Mattis so far. When you look at his careers, the numbers are almost similar. God, it's scary. But I also see the same path to the bullpen where he can be an effective lefty bullpen arm. But I mean, with him being young and have options and stuff like that, they're going to exhaust him as a starting pitcher because it's so hard to find that. So some guys just peak late. So we'll see. But I think Cade is going to have a pretty decent major league career when it's all said and done. It just might be in the bullpen. Still think the O's could swing a trade for a pitcher. I think now you have to. Basically include a pitcher, because you can't have too many. So you have to include somebody back. It's not a lot when you paid Sagano $13 million last year. Touche. You had to outbid some other people, but Zach Littell or Giolito would have been better. I think Bassitt's better than Gio, but Zach Littell was one of my favorites. True Swiss Army knife, very good arm, very good starter, very good bullpen arm. Got a lot of guys out. Obviously, he's used to the East, but this one's okay. This one's okay in my opinion. I like the quality of money that they have spent on this offseason. No what WETF signings on paper. Depends who you ask. I agree with you, but it depends who you ask. Some people might not agree with you, Adit. Dodgers DFA Banda on 2-6. What are we at? We're on 5 days now. So assuming it's a trade because a lot of teams are looking for bullpen arms, a trade has to be lined up by 2/13 this Friday. Yes. It's got to be 7 days. Yeah. Or he just accepts his assignment. Oh, you can tell I'm getting old. 9:42. I'm yawning. Goodness gracious. 7 days to do something, right? Yep, 7 days. Chris says go to 6-man. I think they might just start off. 2026 brings us in a 36-year-old former Toronto pitcher. 2027 brings us in a 36-year-old former Toronto pitcher, Kevin Gausman. That would be something, wouldn't it? That'd be something. I think I'd rather have Eflin in the starting rotation than Bassitt, in my opinion. It's possible. I mean, we've seen Zach Eflin be very effective. I think it's just this point, it just sees who kind of clips first. You know, who takes the bull by the horns and just, you know, has dominant outings in their spring debuts. Because Zach Eflin's going to start, and he's going to have those 4 or 5 innings eventually. Even if he does go to the bullpen, like Andy said, they're going to build these guys up as starters because it's easier to kind of eliminate than it is to kind of accumulate later. Because you don't want to have an injury or two, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, Zach Eflin's been pitching 1 inning for 3 months. Like, what am I going to do? So you'll see him get some starts. I love Gausman. If we could pick him up and bring him home next year, that'd be awesome. I don't know about that at age, though. He's more velo. Bassitt's more controlled, usually. But, I mean, Kevin's still good. Kevin can locate, and he's got a very good splitter. So, yeah, I mean, who knows? Coming back from Achilles tendon injury, what about Griffin Canning? I've heard a lot about him. I'm going to have to see how it all shakes out. I'd like Reed Detmers. If they could somehow swing a trade for Reed Detmers as your lefty, he pitched really good out of the bullpen last year. Like, really good. Would love Reed Detmers. And he just lost his arbitration case. Might be a little unhappy. I don't know. Would love him over here. Plus, he's got control. I think like 4 more years control. Sagano's going to get obliterated in Colorado. He should have gone back to Japan. What's funny is he gave up 33 home runs at Camden Yards, or for the Orioles. When you look at his baseball savant page in Colorado, he would only give up 29. So he would give up less last year, which is odd, but I don't know. You never know. Maybe he figures it out. You never know. It's an upgrade when you consider we had 2 good, healthy starters last year. Now we have 6. It's a great way to put it. Is Mayo the opening day third baseman? I think it depends how long it takes Westberg to come back. Like we talked about a little bit earlier, with him being already running, I don't think he's too far off away from starting to throw, doing a throwing program. I do think probably Westberg is on track as long as he has no setbacks to start opening day. Do I think they're going to add a bullpen piece? I still think they should be looking. I do still think they should be looking. If they're not, they're crazy, in my opinion. I just lost my spot in here. There we go. Bassitt's better than Povich, Young, Morton, Chicago, Gibson, and Kramer. He is an upgrade. I can't argue that too much. I don't think so. I can't argue it. I'm trying to skip through some of this because it's been a pretty late night. I'm at an hour and 15 already. PJMJ says, what are we going to do with Mountie? Don't get the fit anymore. Listen, they may have known about this Westberg thing for a little while. They may have had a trade lined up for Kobe, but you had to keep him because of Westberg. You don't know how bad it was, blah, blah, blah. Mountie, I seen him staying on the roster the entire time just because he's pretty good with runners in scoring position. Obviously, he's a good defensive first baseman. I seen a role for him because he had 13 hitters, 12, 13 hitters, 13. I seen a role for him there over Mayo. I just felt like Mayo's probably got the biggest upside, yes, but because of the upside, he gets you the biggest return. Mountie gets you no return right now. So I thought for sure it was going to be Mayo that got traded, but Is there room for Mountie? It's a really good question. You would think no, unless he's content hitting once or twice a week. I don't know. I really don't know. Who do we think is going to be more of a challenge for the O's, the Yankees or the Blue Jays? That's a good question. I think the Blue Jays got worse offensively. I think now some guys are going to have to play a little bit out of position, so maybe a step back. I'm not going to say worse, but a small step back defensively. The Yankees are older. Both their pitching staffs are, I would say, better than ours. I'd say Blue Jays probably. Probably the Blue Jays. They better hope Grayson doesn't pan out. I'm still disappointed they got rid of him. I don't think they care if he pans out or not, to be completely honest with you. Be dead honest. I don't think they care. They washed their hands away of that and we're done with it, and they're never even going to check in on him again. I think they were dumb. They had enough. We'll just say that. They had enough. You think we're still on bullpen arms? They should be. They should be. Is Westy becoming injury prone? Yeah, because it's always something stupid. You know, like, yeah, him getting hit by a pitch, a little bit out of his control. But like the stupid mattress, this, just dumb stuff. It's all the time. All the time. Steve from the Ville, Reimold, a throwback name. Really liked him, like you said. Health was an issue. Loved his hustle. It's the same thing, man. That is what Westberg is. He hustles. He's like your leader. He's a guy that's supposed to be really freaking good. Just can't stay healthy. We'll see. I don't want to see Westberg rush at all. Completely agree. The Reimold comparison, man, was a true believer. He could stay. Yeah, dude, he had a lot of freaking talent. I hope Jordan finds a comfortable bed this spring training. I think he's already off to a bad start on that. By the way, Corbin Carroll had the same injury. Yeah. Yep. It's a fairly common injury in baseball. A lot of people just don't know about it. Have I ever tried Reese cups with Oreo cookies cream on them? I have not. But I have to try that. I still believe Mike could trade Bradfield, Mayo, and Gibson to get Morjan and Estrada. Yeah, San Diego does love Bradfield. They called 14 times for him last year. I don't think you could get Morjan and Estrada, though. I mean, you're talking about two of the better relievers in baseball. I do think they end up eventually dealing Mason Miller, though. I think they want to kind of free up some money, and they may allocate that to Morjan or Estrada. I'm not sure. That relationship with Grayson became strained. We didn't handle his development well. Yeah, his mom complained a whole lot. I think they were ready to just be done with that. Can I see Dean's stats at nighttime only? I believe so. Dean Kramer, splits tool. Let's just do 2025, and maybe I can't. There's another way. Let me pull it up here. Dean splits. I think Baseball Reference has it. We'll just do 2025. I want to say they have it. I'm looking here. Batting first. Swung and took a first pitch. First batter. I could be wrong. I thought they had it. I could be wrong. Yeah, I don't see it. Oh, I lied. They do. 251 batting average, 18 games last year with a 4.25 ERA. He had a 4.11 in day games. So the whip 1.2, 1.22. So pretty similar. Yeah. On artificial turf, he had a 9 ERA. On grass, he had a 3.84. That's pretty funny. Splits are funny, man. How do you think not getting a free agent top of the rotation arm this offseason affects the pursuit of one in the next season? Bargain bin shopping harder for one this season could get real expensive next season. I think they really want to spend money. It just hasn't worked out where they have been able to spend it. I mean, they try to spend a lot of money on Burns. They try to spend a lot of money on Ranger Suarez. I think they want to spend the money, but I think they're very picky on who they do it with. Sometimes I feel like they kind of just zero in on that one guy that they want and kind of ignore maybe the rest. But also because, prices and other things, other factors that go into it, they don't land other guys or maybe don't focus on them. I don't know. They do want to spend the money. I don't think there's any arguing that. It's just been closing the deal on the guy that they do want. So hopefully they can get over that hurdle next year. Now, look, Pete Alonso was a big hurdle. They couldn't land these kind of deals prior. Pete was the landing deal. Tyler O'Neill was like the stepping stone. Pete was the landing stone. Now you have to get over the hurdle for the pitching. So each year they've gotten better at this. You want it to kind of happen faster. It hasn't, but you take what you can get, I guess. Excuse me. Trying to get down to the end here. Bassitt won a playoff game last year. Who's the last Orioles pitcher you can say that about? I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Is Mayo starting a third on opening day? I don't think so. I think Jordan will be ready. If I were GM or president of baseball operations, when you trade one of our position players for a lack of not producing offensively, how long do you hold on to them, if at all? Trade one or more for specifically one guy or prospect. So the thing with this is, and especially the Orioles, they don't have guys that truly come up and take off in year one. Year two, year three is kind of when they really peak, which is to be said about most young guys in baseball. We went through a period where like James Wood and Jackson Merrill came up, Jackson Churio, and these guys were like out of the gate hot, freaking good. They're outstanding ball players. It's not normal though. So recency bias kind of has people thinking that everyone should come up and always perform like that. The problem with especially the Orioles is Norfolk is a freaking hitter's park, and the numbers are always skewed. It's a freaking jet stream that just flies right on out of there. So we get these guys coming up here. Oh, they just hit 20 home runs. They've done this. Their averages go through the roof. They get up here and they stink. One, because the pitching's not that great down there, because if you're a pretty decent arm, you're in the big leagues. And two, it's just a freaking jet stream in the whole international league, really. So the numbers are just skewed. So you can't make any judgments on any Oriole player coming from Norfolk in year one. After a full year one, then you can start making your judgments after a full year two. There's a lot to learn. Going from AAA to big leagues, the hardest adjustment in the world in any sport. It's not easy and not everybody can do it. So definitely don't judge anything on year one. But I would say after year three, if they're really struggling, that's when you try to maybe move on. But I mean, from what we've seen from pretty much everybody, they start to figure it out at the end of year one, going into year two, mid-year two. So I'm not concerned just yet, but I would trade them for whatever you can get. If at the end of year three, they're still struggling. Mountie and Bradford from Morjan. I don't know if that, well, I guess because he's a rental, that might get it done. I don't know. Maybe. No, I don't think so. Ben Wagner says Pavetta at the deadline is a 3-month rental. If the price is right. I would like to aim higher, but I wouldn't turn it. If he's having another good season, I wouldn't turn it down. But the price would have to be right. I don't like the Bassitt move because I prefer 2 or 3 relievers, because I think right now Bassitt's our 7th best starting pitcher. Yeah, but it does allow you to have a good arm that moves to the bullpen. I get it. It's depth. I can understand why somebody doesn't like it, and I can understand why people do like it. So I don't think either side would be wrong, but we get what we needed. we get what we needed there. The new number one O's podcast. I appreciate that. I try to go live as often as I can. I do have 3 kids, 7, 5, and 3. Pray for me. But when they go to bed, I try to hop on here as much as I can for you guys, especially when something goes on. Either Lopez or Ryan at the deadline. If either one of those two are available, I would prefer Ryan, but Lopez I think would still be pretty solid too. And then Reno Doug says Joe Ryan at the deadline would be my ideal guy. Hopefully the Twins have realized they're not contenders. It's baseball, man. It's baseball. Anything can happen. Anything. I mean, nobody expected the Orioles in 2023 to be as good as they were. So never count anybody out until they're out. That's the only thing I can say. A man can dream for Joe Ryan. Yeah. So, but I am going to hop on off. It's 10 o'clock. I get up at 4:30. For some reason, I have a 9 to 5. Sucks. We all do. So let's get some rest here. Appreciate Andy hopping in and talking about some of these injuries. If you didn't catch some of that, Andy Kostka from the Baltimore Banner hopped on with us. We went over, just like the thumbnail said, we went over Jackson Holliday, Jordan Westberg. We hit on the Hamate bone. We hit on Pete Alonso's impact, what he's felt like day one. Tyler O'Neill, expectations for him. And then we talked a little bit about the new facility. So if you guys missed any of that, go ahead and go back early. Andy, obviously, if you're just coming in now, obviously the Chris Bassitt signing popped literally as I hit go live. So Andy took a few minutes. I think it was like 15 minutes into the stream for Andy. He had to write his article, actually get his tweets out and stuff before he joined us. So if you wanted to go back and watch Andy, I think it's like 15, 20 minutes into the stream. But if you want to watch the whole thing, that's cool too. Appreciate every single one of you, truly from the bottom of my heart, for you just coming out here and hanging out with me tonight, or any night. I love baseball. I know you love baseball. We want a winner here in Baltimore. Let's do our best to get to that point. Let me know what you feel like after the stream goes off in the comments. What grade are you giving the offseason right now with Chris Bassitt included? Is it an A? Is it a B? Is it a C? Let me know. All right. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.